السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بالجميع. Welcome you all. And today we started our second week for quality assurance, and I hope that now by the end of first week things are becoming making more sense, and it's becoming more interesting, hopefully. And I think so, like, if you didn't know what is quality before, you already got a feeling what is quality now. And always try to get examples, as we always do. Like, don't try to understand a concept without an example. You need to have a case study, an example. You need to know the know-how of everything that you're trying to deal with. And the reason is that it's like the small example we always say about tying the shoelace. So when we say to our kids and you ask them, do you know how to tie your shoelace? And he says, yes, I know how to do it. And then and if you feel that this is good enough as an answer, you're mistaken. Why? Because you can ask him, can you explain to me how to tie the shoelace? And he may explain to you very perfectly. But when you try to do exactly the application of the shoelace, it doesn't work. There is someone sending me يقول لي دكتور شنو بعد. Everyone is in. Okay, everyone is in. So I'm sure maybe there's someone who's getting a problem again that he cannot get in. ما تشتغل عندي المحاضرة، شو أسوي الحين أنا؟ I don't know why Nasser Zaman is facing again the same problem again. I clicked your name, Nasser, so that you can get in. So please try. That's the best thing I can do now, يعني. Because everyone is in. Everyone is in. Nasser Zaman, I requested you, and I think so even the students can also request your name just to make sure that you're in. زين تأكد ناصر شنو المشكلة موجودة، لأن أنا الحين قاعد أشوف كل شيء أوكي عندي. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking to you and it's like كان ناصر لازم يرد علي يعني. مو راضي يدش على المحاضرة. زين ليش مو راضي يدش؟ شو أسوي أنا الحين؟ I'm going to continue, but Nasser is facing a problem to get in, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix the problem. Okay, so I think so. I'm going to continue. سامحني ناصر يعني. Hopefully you will get a way how to get in. I already invited you, and that is the best thing I can do. Okay, try from another place. Okay, so let's continue. Sorry, Nasser, يعني. Continue with the idea. And then I said about the kid that he's tying the shoelace. So when you ask him, please tie the shoelace in front of me, and then he gets stuck. He doesn't know how to do it. So there are many people who can explain perfectly, but they cannot do exactly what they will need to do. You always need to know, to have the know-how, and having the know-how, you need to practice things. You need to know the details of all of all what you're trying to learn. A concept is not enough without an example, okay? A concept is not enough without an example. You always need an example to make sure that things are going right. Now, continuing, we have the three gurus of quality. So that we have three gurus. Gurus يعني العباقرة يعني the very well known of guru of quality. We have Deming, Juran, Crosby. I mentioned the last names because they're popular with the last names. And of course, this is something different in culture. And we always tell when we go to the other culture, the European culture, we tell them that we call people with the first name and not the last name. But you're used to call the last name more than the first name. And this even if you see now in the newspaper, it had been changing. And when they talk about me, for example, they say قال الحمد أو قال الدكتور الحمد, and this is very strange. It's not very well known يعني in the Arab world. We usually always use the يعني قال بسام الحمد يعني we don't need to mention only the last name. However, this is how they are now. It's part of getting affected by other cultures. So we have Deming, Juran, and Crosby. So what did Deming do? Like, he's one of the gurus of quality. His main concept was what? Was mainly continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. And then he has another word which is minimizing variation, but it is mainly continuous improvement. That's what he was popular about. Okay, and popular about that means the Pdca cycle. There's something called the Pdca cycle. Well, he formed this cycle to have a continuous improvement process: plan, do, check, and act. And we are going to also take it later when we study the 14 points. When we study the details of the 14 points, we are going to go through the Pdca cycle. So this is called the Pdca cycle. So what is the Pdca cycle? The Pdca cycle is part of a continuous improvement cycle stated by Deming. And what did Deming say? Said that when you're going to start a process, you need to plan at the beginning. And then, okay. You need to plan and after you plan, you apply, you do what you have planned. And then you're going to check if everything is okay. And then you're going to act again to develop your plan, to improve it. And let's take an example. Take an example, for example, I'm late to my lectures. When I go to a lecture, I'm late. And then you tell yourself, well, I'm late to the lecture. How can I continuously improve so that I will never be late? So, and when you go for the reasons, for example, you go to the reasons, it could be one of the 4 M's. You remember the 4 M's I mentioned last time? When you try to find what are the reasons, you always go for the 4 M's. This is using one of the, it's called cause and effect diagram, the fishbone diagram. We will take it after مثلا 6 weeks or 5 weeks, but I'm just mentioning it now for the example. And then you say that, well, why I'm late? يعني احتمال it's because of the alarm. The alarm is too low. It's because that I watch soccer matches, Barcelona and I don't know, Real Madrid, very late at night. Late at night, or it could be because I don't have a car of my own. It could be because of something else, and so on. So what are you going to do here? Part of the improvement cycle is going to say, you're going to say, well, مثلا, I'm going to plan to have the alarm to be very high. I'm going to check the alarm before I sleep. Okay, so that's plan. You set the alarm at a certain time, and you set several alarms, and you also, for example, set a high alarm. So you're doing it. And next day, you also wake late, مثلا. So you're checking if you woke late or not. Then, if you are late to the lectures or not. And now, if you are not late to lectures, your act is nothing. Everything is great. But if you're late to lectures again, you're going to act and say, change the plan. I'm going to change the plan. I'm going to buy a new alarm. I'm going to set a new alarm. I'm going to let one of my friends call me, and here's my alarm. Then, and so on. So you're acting. And so you're setting a new plan. You're acting to set a new plan. And then based on the new plan, you're doing again what was the plan. For example, your friend is calling you was part of your plan. So what are we having here? We're having a continuous improvement cycle, where we always try to improve. This is a continuous improvement cycle. It's a continuous improvement cycle that is happening continuously. And this is what we are trying to do here. We are trying to improve continuously. Now, who was this guy who came up with the idea? Or he didn't come up with the idea that only continuous improvement, because there were some people before him thought about the idea, but he came with the terminology of the PDCA and he made it scientific. So before, it was something that it was there, they may do it at home, or they may do it just a common sense. That يعني it's a common sense, right? If things don't work well, you plan, you do it. Some people don't plan, they just do it. They just fix it. And then they check if it's fixed or not. If it's not fixed, they act again, fix it. If it's not fixed, fix it. And that's all. This is what they do. But maybe they don't have a plan in place. They don't check, for example, when they check, they don't check the data. When I'm talking about Pdca cycle in a company, definitely you're talking about a detailed data. That could be data in tables and figures, and you have a dashboard in front of you, and the dashboard shows you what is going right and what is wrong, and you have an alarm. And you have an alarm here, red, that shows you that if it is red or if it is green, for example. So when you're talking about checking within an organization, it's much bigger than that. It's not just saying that I'm going to check if my alarm is working or not. I just gave you a small example, but it could be even much more detailed than that. So going back, so what is Deming saying? Deming is saying that we need to do what? We need to have a continuous improvement cycle, and that is one of the concepts that Deming came up with. Number two, he doesn't like to have variations. He doesn't like to have variations. يعني, I don't want to have variations in my process. I don't want to have variations in my equipment. I don't want to have variation in my product. I don't want to have variation in my staff members. يعني قدراتهم, their capability of the staff members. So he's trying to minimize. And now you already can يعني مثلا have many ideas in your head. يعني مثلا I want to minimize the variation in my staff members. Variation يعني شنو? All staff members who are working with equipment A, for example, they can do the job very correctly. Just a second. Yes, please.
Hello. Back. I saw the request. It's there already.
What is it?
Your request for the hyperbaric for for the fit.
Ah,
They will come later around 2 o'clock. Usually afternoon they're coming. But the request is there.
school. صح؟
يبقى
school.
تقول لك بتجي لك ساعة 2. Sorry guys, I'm back. Again, sorry يعني. As I said يعني, because I'm presenting while I'm in the hospital, so sorry for that يعني. I'm sitting with my dad, and this is the reason that I get interruptions. So going back to the idea of the gurus of quality. So when I was talking about, for example, minimizing variation, if I'm going to talk about minimizing variation for staff members, just think about it. How can I have people working within a plant? And for example, in a plant, I have technicians. How can I minimize the variation within the technicians when I'm trying to do a maintenance job? I can send any technician, technician A, technician B, technician C, اللي يكون اسمه, whatever is his name, he still can do the maintenance job. How did I maintain to minimize the variation, the differences between technicians? It is through what? طبعا مكتوبة هني صغيرة كذي. Training employees. طبعا training employees is one of the 14 points stated by Deming to achieve the concept, one of his concepts, which was minimize variation. So going back, what Deming is trying to say here, he's telling that I want to have continuous improvement cycle and I want to minimize variation. These are the main 2 points I want to do for quality. That is the quality for me. And he was, Deming was very popular, of course, in Japan. And actually he was successful to some extent in US, but he did not get popular at all. And then the Japanese people just saw that he has a good potential, and they made good use of his knowledge, where they pulled him, they asked him to come to Japan, and he went to Japan, and amazingly he became very popular in Japan. And it's all because of culture again, because the Japanese, they like to have the master who teaches the students. So he was like the master. And what happened, Deming then became very popular, and after 20 years or something like that, they pulled him back to US, asking him to work with them in big companies. I can't remember the name of the companies. I don't know Coca-Cola is one of them or not. But he was asked to come back and help them with what? With what concepts? With 2 main concepts: the continuous improving and minimizing variation. So that was Deming. Okay, and again, if you can see that continuous improving and minimizing variation is to do with what? Is to do with management. And this is why he used to say that the biggest reason for low quality is what? Is bad management. The biggest reason for low quality is bad management. Now, what did Deming came up with? He came up with 14 different points. One of them is plan, do, check, act. Another point is removing fear. A third point is long-term focus. A fourth point is training employees, fact-based management. All of these are different points that Deming had mentioned, but all of them we are going to study them. We are going to study the 14 points. So don't worry, I'm just mentioning them now, but we are going to take those 14 different points later by Deming. So that's one of the gurus. Okay, that's Deming. What about Juran? Okay, well, Juran, he came with a different concept, and the concept that he came up with, that quality is fitness for use, which means, in other words, is a functionality. And fitness for use, that means he has a very strong customer point of view. He's concentrating on the customer. طبعا concentrating on the customer means that he's going to consider management, planning, training, very similar to Deming. However, now he's concentrating on chronic problems. Chronic problems معناته مزمنة، مشاكل مزمنة على طول. So chronic problems. And he has the idea, he came up with the idea that quality has a price. That means if you want to have quality, sometimes you need to make a quality breakthrough. You must have a quality breakthrough. Now, what does quality breakthrough? I said many concepts here. I need to be slow. Before I come to the quality breakthrough, I need to explain what is fitness for use. Okay, so that is the main point that he's saying, fitness for use. يعني you have a small TV, you have a very big TV. A small TV, for example, you have a TV of 20-inch. I don't know if there's something called like that. And you have a TV with 60-inch. Okay. Now, if I would say which one is better, you may jump, for example, أو خلينا أسأل ليش ما أسألكم جينا جماعة أي واحد أحسن which one is better, the 60-inch or the 20-inch TV?
There is no specific answer, doctor. Like you have to ask us, decide what, like for the quality for the system itself, electricity, power, and so on.
هو جوابك صح. The first part was correct, which was there's no specific answer. And what within the concept of Juran, how this will be specific?
The first one, I think.
مو شرط. Your first, I told you your first one is your first answer is correct. That there is no specific answer. Again, fitness for use. Did you get it or not? Is this fit for use, 20-inch, or 60 inches fit for use?
60.
Okay. Man, I gave you already the. I told you that Ahmed said that the answer is correct. The first part, which he said that there is no specific answer. That means if the guilty 60, you should continue. And ما يصير توقف. If you said 20, you need to continue. مرة ثانية, I will give you a chance. Is it how you are going to say it's 20 or 60?
يعتمد على احتياجاتك.
صح. طبعا كوميل اوريدي طرش الجواب يعني انا ماني من جاوب الحين. So is it كوميل؟
لا
زين.
فاهم بس
Two
في
students.
من قبل الدكتور.
ما عليه. Okay, because I saw it. So it depends on the need, which means the use, depending on if it is fit for use or not. As simple as that. يعني if this fits my use, then it is quality. And if this 60-inch fits my use, then that is called quality. And what I'm trying to say is also that يعني, I have customers who just want a 20-inch because they live in a very small home and maybe they don't afford to buy a very big 60-inch TV that costs تقريبا 700 BD. I don't know if now it's cheaper or not, but مثلا it costs 700 BD. And I will take something that will only cost me about 50 BD. So what I'm trying to say here, there are customers who buy this TV because it's fit for use. Fit for use, يعني شنو? They want to use it to watch TV, okay? Because with both of them, you can watch TV, right? It's like having two different cars. Both of them, at the end of the day, you can drive that car from one location to another location. But definitely it depends on if that fits your use or not. Okay, and if you have a big family, definitely a small sedan car will not be fit for use than a Nissan petrol car or a Jim's car, for example. And these are expensive cars. Still, if you want to go cheaper ones, there are cheaper ones like which are the Jeep size. What I'm trying to say is that is it fit for use or not? So we have different customers, and the different customers, their use for a 20-inch is different. They want to watch TV, and what they do just, and they want a cheap TV or a low price TV. And of course, it has all specific all specs. all specs. That means it has, of course, يعني مثلا the remote, it has Netflix مثلا, it has I don't know, something like that. Still they have everything. Okay, well, and it is a smart TV مثلا as well. So what I'm trying to say also here is that now, if you're living in a place, we're just going to have now a bigger a view of the example. Now, if you are living in a neighborhood or in a place يعني where you have mainly the population, for example, is 100,000 people, and this 100,000 people, most of them, they have small homes. Let me say 80% of them, they have small homes. And now when I say 80% have small homes, and then you say, okay, is it better to have this kind of TV to sell, or I should sell this kind of TV? يعني, and then you can see that this is affecting your marketing strategy, your selling strategy as well. All that came from what concept? It came from the concept of fitness for use. So if you buy something that it is fit for use, then it is going to work. يعني, I had seen some ideas in يعني my son he used to show me one kind of a program. نسيت اسمه. It's called, I think so, Shark Business. I forgot the name. It's something like that. And the idea of this program is that a person comes, he delivers his business idea. Maybe he already started his idea and he already made a lot of profit. And for example, he came up with his business idea to present it to these sharks who are business people who have like millions of dollars. And now what he's trying to do, he's trying to get a financial support or something like that to grow his business up. So one of the sharks, for example, says to this new business guy who's presented to them, and he's telling them, and they're telling him, one of the sharks telling him, well, I'm going to buy your company by $10 million. And some other shark says that, well, I'm going to give you $500,000, not the 10 million, $500,000 to support you with your business, but I'll take a 50% share. You see, so he's giving less amount of money, but he's getting a share. On a share, that means the new guy, he will still get a 50% and make sure that he will get the support. And the third guy, he said, la, I will give you $1 million, better than that $500,000 guy, and I also give you marketing support. And however, I want an 80% share. So you can see the idea how things are different from one shark to another when they are trying to deal with things. So what I'm trying to say here is that fitness for use is another way of looking at quality, where we talk about functionality. And you can see that from my examples that I presented is that there's a lot of concern or there is a lot of emphasis, I would say, on what? On the customer. It's not about the process, but it's more about the customer. However, there are a lot of details that also are related to management. Okay, we have a third guy here coming to be one of the gurus. His name is called Philip Crosby. And Philip Crosby, he talks about a different concept. So it's not about now continuous improvement, and it's not only about minimizing variation, and it's not about fitness for use. Now he's talking about quality is free, zero defects. And that was a very strange concept. Just to get an idea, Crosby is a statistician, okay? So he's a statistic guy. إحصاء. So because he's a statistician, he can say that he can identify the amount of samples that should be taken and investigated, where he can ensure that you will always have a zero defect of product. But talking about that, مستحيل, you will never have a zero defect product. And you can if you're producing 100,000 piece of water bottles, definitely you're going to have one water bottle, at least one water bottle that is out of spec. So it's like impossible to produce 100,000 bottle or even more. To be also more specific, actually with statistics, you can ensure that the amount of product that you are producing, you can have plus or minus 3 standard deviation of error. Okay. So we are going to have plus or minus 3 standard deviation of error. However, you also can have plus or minus 6 standard deviation of error. What I'm trying to say that it depends on the sampling. It depends on the sampling and where to sample. So it's all about statistics, where he can ensure that you are about 99% confident, or 99% is high. It's 97%. So you're 97% confident that you're going to have what? You're going to have all of your data within the specified variation. Okay, so now if you talk about quality free, how will you have quality free with zero defects? It is all about sampling. So that is the main idea that you have. What about the other products? What about the other products which are still sitting here, which are out of spec? Now, if I can know these products and prevent them, you see here, preventing them from reaching the customer. You see the idea? If I prevent them from reaching to the customer, what did I do? I'm having 100% of product that reached to the customer. I'm 100% sure that any product that we reach to the customer is going to be according to the specifications. So what I'm trying to do here is not only about zero defects, but I also come up with the idea that I will ensure that even those that are out of spec, I will prevent those from reaching the customer. And if I prevent them from reaching the customer does not know that I had defects. And if he doesn't know, he only knows that this company produces perfect products. That is what they know. Okay, so the laptops, most of the laptops, they don't have problems. If you go to HP, Dell, and so on, even though that I have faced some problems which could be related to spec problems, and it happens. And when they discovered that there is one of the products which is having a problem, they report it. Why? Because they want to go back to their sampling technique. They're going to go to their procedures just to ensure that why did this come out of our hands and went to the customer? It affects our reputation. And this is why, because you heard about cars pulling about 100,000 cars, units of cars out of the market. Why? Because they don't want to lose reputation. And this happened to you, Toyota, for example. Great. So that is where Crosby came. So let's read what he came up with. So he said that quality is production according to specifications. So I was talking about specs. You already hear that. According to the specifications, out of specifications. And so he's here talking about according to the specifications. You gave me certain specification for the water bottle. You gave me certain specification for the bread and the quality of the bread and the softness of the bread. We want to know that everything is according to specifications. Quality is free. In other words, zero defects. I don't want any defects. So I want to prevent any errors, and there's no trade-off in quality, no trade-off at all. Someone who's not able to do the job correctly, he should be out. The equipment that does not work should be out, for example. And if the place that we are working in is not suitable, change the place. If the raw material that I'm using to produce the water bottle is not up according to the spec, change it. If my supplier gives me the bread but not to the quality level for my burger, change the supplier. There's no trade-off in quality. No trade-off in quality. And of course, this became very popular. Why? Because again, the concept of zero defects, of course, is a good marketing, catchy motto that could go around within all companies, and that's why it had increased publicity. So what do we have here from the three gurus? We learned today continuous improvement, that we need to continuously improve through the Pdca cycle and many other details. And we need to minimize the variations. Who came up with these two ideas? It was Deming. And then Juran came and he said that, of course, not then, because Deming was in 1960s, 1980s. Crosby was a guy. Okay, so Crosby was in the period of about 1940, I think so. I think I started forgetting the dates. When did these people live? But what I'm trying to say that there was a cross between their lives, and everyone learned from the other guy. I think Crosby was before them, if I'm not mistaken. I'm a bit confused about the dates. What concerns us are the concepts: continuous improvement, minimizing variation, fitness for use, and according to specs, which is zero defects. Okay, great. So here we're coming to other important persons that are related to quality. And of course, there are many people. You can see I only finished with 3, which are the most popular ones. But there are other peoples who are not gurus, but they have a very critical contribution to quality. And those people are Walter Stewart, and we had also Feigenbaum, Armin Feigenbaum, and Taguchi, a Japanese guy called Genichi Taguchi. So Stewart, he was the guy that came up with the statistical process control tools. And we are going to learn a few weeks after 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to learn together the 7 QC tools. These 7 QC tools that you're learning, originally Stewart was part of it. For example, control charts. Who came up with the idea of control charts, in which you have an amount of data? I will not explain control charts now, but we are trying to control our data within a certain chart. And when we have a product, we know that it is out of control and why it is out of control. Based on what? Based on statistical tools. Who is the guy? It is Stewart. Stewart is the one who came up with this idea. What about Feigenbaum? Feigenbaum is less popular than Stewart. However, he came up with the idea of TQM, but it was a very initial stage, and because it was a very initial stage, he's not very well popular. And people took his idea later to come up with the most popular management system today, which is TQM. So this was the guy who originally initiated it at the beginning, or he came up with the idea. But you're thinking about what is TQM? It is total quality management. Simple saying that quality is not only fitness for use, it's not only customers' point of view, it's not only specification, it is not only the supplier, it is everything. Okay, so he came up with the concept that it is a total quality management system that is to do with every part within the management system. And if you remember, go back to the history. Our history mentioned when I explained to you that how did it shift from one stage to another stage in which you concentrated only on the product, and then you shifted concentrating on the process within the organization, and then we shifted to concentrate on the supplier, and which means inside and outside the organization, and then everything.
Doctor,
122/50.
هلا.
Okay.
like TQM here is total quality control, and you said total quality management. So are they the same here? The letter M.
لا والله, they used to call it total quality control at one stage, but now it is different. It is total quality management. So that was the old terminology. Okay, total quality control is the old terminology. Talking about today's terminology, it is total quality management. Okay, so he was responsible for, he came up with the idea of total quality control, which was the initial idea of TQM, of total quality management. Okay, so total quality management is the terminology that is used today. However, in his days, when he started with the idea, he used to call it total quality control. Hello. Insane. Taguchi is one of the very popular, again, quality people. Yani they don't call them gurus, and actually gurus sometimes, yani, this could be a guru, all of them. Even Stewart, like he did amazing stuff. But what is the difference? These people worked in big companies, and they made a different jumps, developments, advancements in the companies, and they came up with rules and ideas that became very popular between companies and industries, and this is why they became like gurus. So sometimes guru is just people know you, you become a guru, and if people don't know you, you are not a guru. Okay, and it happens even with the Islamic scholars. Yani there are many Islamic scholars, some of them are popular than others. And if you think why, because maybe one of the Islamic scholars, he's a guru, but he doesn't have the communication skills of attracting people. So he loses this connection with the students who could market for him and his ideas. Okay, so I'm just saying it. And I have many examples in my head, but because it's not the topic of Islamic scholars, so I'm not getting into it. Coming back to Taguchi, product and production design as a base for quality and costs. Okay, I'm going to concentrate. I'm going to say it again. So he said that product and production design as a base for quality and cost. So now he's going to the design of the product and the production, the whole line, the supply chain. So we were talking about the supply chain, the whole supply chain, the design of the whole process should be done. It's not only putting the burgers together, but how is the burger obtained, and then how is going to be heated, and then how the burger is going to be formed. Who's going to put the cheese, who's going to put the meat, who's going to put, and so on. If you see the movie of McDonald's, I think you'll like it. Even though that I'm not a favor of McDonald's food, and I'm not favor of McDonald's because of its contribution of money to the Zionists. But it's looking at the film itself, it has a lot of good stuff that you can learn from. You can find it on Netflix. Okay, so Taguchi also came up with the quality loss function. And actually quality loss function is an equation. It's an equation where he's trying to look at a certain equation where he identifies that if you go down the specification to a certain limit, if you go down a specification to a certain limit, this is considered as a loss. This is considered as a loss. So it's not about now not having a defect. He's saying that we will have a defect, And actually, it's not about a defect. Sometimes you can sell things with a defect, but sometimes you cannot sell them at all with a defect. So he came up with the idea of loss. He came up with the idea with the loss. And this was called the quality loss function. Again, let me go back to something. When I said that you're going to have exams, for example, and I said that everything is going to be open book, the final is an exception. يعني as an exception, still is going to be an open book, يعني, but maybe not open internet. Okay, but it will be an open book. But what I'm trying to say, you will have all the slides. So why am I teaching you? Am I expecting you to know the names of all those scholars? And if I'm expecting you to know their names and everything is open book, you'll get a full mark. So يعني, what I'm trying to say here, what really concerns me here is the concept. The concept. So this guy came with a statistical process control. What is statistical process control? So it is a statistical approach which it identifies the mean and the standard deviation. And when I identify the mean and the standard deviation, so through some statistical calculation, you identify that this is the mean, and there's an upper limit and lower limit because of the standard deviation. You will always have your data scattered within this area. However, if you have a data sitting outside the lines over or lower the control limits, you're going to say this is an outlier, or it's outside the limits. So I'm putting the concept of the idea, the concept of having everything controlled. From the data, I know that I will always have, for example, producing a book with certain specification of thickness of a paper. Hello, and then check the thickness of the paper. Sometimes it is 1 millimeter, 1.1 millimeter, 0.9 millimeter, 1.2 millimeter, 0.93 millimeter, but it will never be 1.5 millimeter مثلا. It will never be 0.5 millimeter or 0.8 millimeters. So what I'm trying to say here, that it all goes through what? Through statistical tools. And this idea came with the total quality management. So I have the concept is more important, that it used to be called total quality control. Now it is called total quality management. The idea that it is total, it collects all the quality ideas into one place. Taguchi came up with that if you want to do the best for quality, concentrate on the design of the product and production. Okay, product and production. So it's not I'm producing the car. I need to look at the design of the production, how to produce 100 cars per day. If I know how to produce 100 cars per day, I need to design how to produce 100 cars per day, as not only how to design a car. So he came up with the idea, and then he came with the idea that when you're producing the car, if with certain specifications get out of place, that is considered as a loss. And then how do you calculate the loss? There's a lot of details there. We don't want to go the details. But at the end of the day, he wants something that is robust design. Robust design. Why? To have robust product, robust production design. And if I have anything out of spec, that will be a loss. That will be a loss. Okay, time is up, and I'm left with 3 guys that I missed here. We are going to continue with the 3 other people here again. Again, we are still into the introduction of quality. So, and someone was asking me, Dr. شنو نراجع? What should we study? And I told him that please concentrate on the concepts. It's very important. When I'm going to give you a case study, I'm going to ask you to apply the Deming principles on Gulf Air, مثلا. I'm going to ask you to apply Juran's principles. We did not study their principles yet, but I just introduced that to you. We are going to apply the Juran's principles to one of the hospitals in Bahrain. I'm going to give you the name of the hospital, and you're going to apply it, and so on. So you're going to mainly apply the concepts of those people and what they have done on case studies. So it's more understanding and conceptualizing all the ideas and applying it is more important than memorizing the names. So that is what I'm not looking for. I'm not looking for memorizing names. I'm looking for what? The concepts that are written here. Understanding the concept, not memorizing them. Okay. Great. Any questions? Any questions?
Yes please.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
دكتور بالنسبة للكورس ماتيريالز، يعني السلايدز هم اللي راح ندرس منهم، لأن في التيمز تقريبا 40 فايل باوربوينت و PDF، يعني مش السلايدز ال 183 pages يعني. هل راح ندرس منهم؟
حاليا هذه هو الدوكيمنت اللي تحتاج منه. في document and there's another document that I'm not sure, I think I did not attach that document. لا موجود. However, 70% of the course you need the slides that I'm explaining from. And then there's another 30% that are related to ISO. I have also few PowerPoints. They are small PowerPoints يعني. But the biggest PowerPoint that you have in hand is 70% of the course تقريبا.
Okay, thank you.
The other documents, PDFs that I put is just for you to see some bank of questions اللي هو multiple choice questions. Maybe it helps you to understand what is quality. يعني it is all for practice, mainly for practice, not for the exams. زين هو زين. انزين. Thank you very much علي. يعطيكم العافية. Thank you everyone, and I hope that you're enjoying something new that opens your eye to the market with many different examples here and there. Sorry for my interruptions, but يعني do expect that these interruptions may be also for the coming days this week, and hopefully things become better. يعطيكم العافية وبارك الله فيكم ونشوفكم على خير إن شاء الله. مع السلامة.